Let me adjust a whole bunch of stuff. There we are. All right. I guess we're live. I'll go tell the world about it. Streaming game day of. All right. So, it's actually nice outside for once, so you may hear very loud noises since although the weather is nice and my window's open, the traffic is not so nice. However, we're going to try and get stuff done anyway. I missed Wednesday because I had a dentist's appointment, and I forgot that it overlapped. They don't tell you, it's Wednesday. They just tell you the 31st or whatever. So I didn't do it, but unfortunately for me, it's hard to stay focused if I don't come back to the project at least twice a week. So over the past week, I've had hundreds of ideas for other projects that are completely different. But I don't believe that this project is a bad one. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to push through and try and get this one back on track. We're going to not do any more character stuff for a while. I think I'm just going to live with helmets for a little while. Instead, what we're going to do is we are going to work on the mission side. So for those of you who aren't huge into my YouTube channel, you may not know, but I've been doing some Heaven's Vault Let's Plays, and one of the focuses is on the idea of a context engine. Now, it should be noted this game actually runs on a context engine. It has since before Heaven's Vault came out, but it's a context engine that's pretty rough at the moment. And so basically the way it works is that there are a number of missions and sub-missions. Here we've got them here in Mission Control. So basically there are a few complications and one major element, and the idea is that each of them comes together at the specific time that would be best for our project. So if it's 8 steps until the big finish with the spy and 6 steps until the big finish with the dropping off the passengers, then the spy gets several more steps before the passengers do. The problem is it's hard to visualize, and that's simply because I haven't actually created any visuals for it. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go ahead and create a visual for it after I finish wiping my glasses for the millionth time, because it is so damn dusty in here now that I've opened my window. So if we hit play, it pops up here, grind. If we start up the mission like this, we end up being able to do all of the commands that we would like to do, but we don't have any. Oh, that doesn't actually seem to be working. Oh, that's not the right thing. Yeah, but we don't have any control over. We don't have any visual over exactly what's going on, so we can't tell which line is advancing at which rate. So we're going to create a simple overview that allows us to view those things. Now, if we take a look at the mission state and the mission test, I'm trying to think of how they work because it's been a while, but basically we have a mission control. Here it is. And what it does is it figures out what's going on. So it should probably be at least partially responsible for displaying what's going on. And what we're going to do is we're going to overlay it in the universe using gizmos. Just can gizmos do text? You know what? I can't remember. If gizmos can't do text, we'll do something else. But basically, we're going to just draw lines on the scene view to show you what missions are active and where we are in those missions. To do that, we're going to have a draw gizmos function that actually does all of the work. But we need to know what sort of work we're looking at. So here in Next is where a lot of the logic happens, where we look through all of our active missions, and we find which one needs another scene, and which one has a scene and all that stuff. So we have all the logic, we need to display them, but we actually need to do it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look. We have a namespace, so here is our setup. We're going to go ahead and create a new region, code region. Is it code region? I think it's code region. No, it's just region. It might just be region. Been a while. So we'll just say region debug and region. All right. So now that we've got a debug region, we'll just have a void on draw gizmos. And in here, we can actually draw some gizmos. Oh, more dust on these glasses. If I was a professional, I'd just move forward with dusty glasses. All right, so what we're just going to do is we're going to create a color. So gizmos.color equals green. And we're going to go ahead and see whether or not there's any text. There's none. So let's go ahead and just do a quick little Google search. They're the same thing. So Unity gizmos text. How do I draw a debug text into a scene? Handles. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and draw some handles. Handles dot, no, there's no handles. But the problem is that the handles require the Unity editor. So the problem is that the Unity editor can't, I won't be able to release it. That's fine for now. We'll go ahead and just do it, and then we'll come back to it later. I can always roll it into a different product later too. But now that we've got that, we should have the handles, and then we should be able to just tell it to put in some text, right? Handles dot label. I think that this is not the right way to do it. I remember doing it some other way that wasn't quite so weird, but I don't remember anymore. Oh well. For now, what we're going to do is we're just going to use our own position. So vector3 root equals transform position, and then here we're going to go ahead and say handles.label root comma mission overview. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a for int a equals 0, a is less than, how many missions have we got? Active missions dot count a plus plus. And the reason that we're doing it like this rather than for each is because we're going to be adding some multiple of a to root. I think that we'll just go ahead and say 2 meters. So from here, what we can do is draw more text. Handles.label R, and then the name of our active mission. Should have a name. I don't know if it's got a complicated setup where it has like a custom interior name. I don't think so. Just take a quick little look here. Passenger liner one-way mission. There's some notes, but we'll go ahead and right now the mission doesn't have anything going on because it's not in play mode. Doesn't understand what the heck's going on until it's in play mode. Now that it's in play mode, we should be able to see some text. See? So we got a problem where I forgot to offset it with a y value. No biggie. I just go ahead and do so. Root plus equals vector3 dot down. Now we're arranging these in space in a really awkward way, and chances are that there's a better way to do it. I don't happen to remember it. It's okay. We're just looking for debug information right now. So here you can see we've got our mission overview, sneaky spy, and passenger liner one way, like so. And you can see that the text remains the same size regardless of how the camera scrolls in and out. And that's why doing it this way is not really a great idea. But we'll live with it for now. It should be easy to port later on once I figure out a better way to do it. Also, we can encapsulate this area in another, like a if Unity editor statement. Maybe. All right. So what we're gonna do here is, I guess what we'll do is we'll put in a void giz text ref r text. I'll just do it's a vector. I just do handles.label r text, and then we'll go ahead and say r plus equals vector 3 dot down divided by 4. I really am too used to working in other languages now. It's been a week. It's funny though, I just spent the last hour and a half, more like 3 hours, doing C#. I don't know why I suddenly have forgotten how to do it. Just my mind, like in my brain, I was doing some real hard code for meshes. So that's like the mesh part of my brain. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing topology. That's in C#. But most of the time when I do text to displaying, it's not in C#. It's in either JavaScript or Python or whatever, or even Lua. And so my brain automatically switches over to those languages. Even though I've been using C# for hours and hours today, it's like, oh, time to display text. Let's switch over to Lua, as I think the thing today, because I was doing some scripting yesterday. Anyway, what we're going to do is we are just going to giz text all this crap. Like that. And what we'll do is, if we have an active mission or an active scene in there, we're going to have to find it. Otherwise, we're not. So here you can see that the current scene is actually an object called a current scene. So we'll go ahead and grab it and see whether or not. So mission M equals active missions A. I'm going to go ahead and do that up here. Make this an M. So if m.active scene, why is that not working? Oh, it's current scene. Giz text ref r current scene, and then giz text ref r m.current scene dot name, yeah. Else giz text no current scene. So that'll just give us a little bit of a debug view as to exactly what scene is going on, and then what we'll do is we'll add in more so that we can tell how many more steps we've got and all that jazz. So you can see right here, no current scene dock to local station. It's all good, right? Except for we're going to want to add in the rest of the missions because we don't know how far it is until the pivotal scene. So if we were going to do that, we would need to understand a little bit better what we're looking at here. So if we go over into, I think it's the mission. Yeah, so here in the mission itself, metadata object, what the fuck is that? It's mission. It's right here. That was weird. Okay, whatever. So we've got a list of the successes and failures and the lengths and all that stuff. And then here we have the pivotal scene right here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go and list all the scenes. We're going to highlight the pivotal one, and won't that be fun, right? So we're just going to go through all of the missions starting from where we are, which is fortunately a public int index. So hey, not bad, right? So for that, we're just going to for int b equals m.index plus 1. No, it's just m dot. just do it like that for now. B is less than m dot length, b plus plus, and then we'll just go ahead and gizText the left and right sides of that so that you can see what's up with it. So if m dot successes b, then gizText ref r m dot successes b dot name. Else, there's some e's missing here. We're going to end up wanting to just display a null value. We're also going to want to do the failures. So for that, what we're going to do is move ourselves down and right just a little bit, and then move ourselves back, and we're done. So we'll define that. So vector3 fail offset equals vector3 dot down plus vector3 dot right divided by 8, I guess, maybe 6. And then that's what we'll add in. So it'll say r plus equals fail offset, and then r minus equals fail offset. And then here we're just going to do the same thing, but for the failures. The only other thing we have to do is if this is the success, so if m dot successes m dot pivotal scene yeah, we'll go ahead and say if m dot pivotal scene equals m dot successes b. This has a failure state where they could both be null, but we're going to go ahead and ignore that for now. So if we have this, we're going to go ahead and make sure that, yeah, I guess we want to make sure that there is no null. And m dot pivotal scene does not equal null. Or we'll just go ahead and add in an arrow. There we go. Basic stuff, right? And that should give us a list of all of these objects and where they're going. Let it recompile. Grind, grind, grind. There we go. So here you can see that we have it errored out. The errored out is that we have an error on line 210 because our index doesn't line up. So if we take a look at 210 here, if m dot pivotal scene equals m dot successes b, b should be with, oh, no, m dot length is correct, because m dot length is the number of scenes. See here, successes dot count. So the only reason this would ever fail is if the length isn't lined up properly, which shouldn't happen, but might because some of these are pretty old. Since it's erroring out during the sneaky spy, we can take a look. We've got 4, and it's all set up correctly. Let's just pop it up to 5 and then back down to 4. And then the passenger liner one way is the other one, which will pop up to 6 and then back down to 5, just to make sure that the length is defined. No, it's definitely barfing. Interesting. So as you can see, the sneaky spy is giving us an error of no current scene, which is fine. Oh, is it because m.index is all screwed up? So let's go ahead and just print out m.index. Maybe it's -1. That's what it is. m.index is -1. There we are. That ought to fix it. No, still erroring. On line 214 now. That's the same scene. Oh. I forgot to actually change it. If you don't wire things up, they don't work. It's #1 rule of programming, is that you have to wire things up. It's real easy to get all the logic right, but then forget to connect it, and then chase bugs forever. There we are. So here you can see our setup, where we've got no failures. These dashes are all no failures. But it looks like that offset isn't good enough. So we're going to go ahead and reduce it a little bit. We'll make it 8 rather than 6. Alright, so here you can see there's no current scene. And then we've got the spy sneak off here and the drop off passenger here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enter... Is that okay? We can see that what we've got is this setup. And we should be able to see how it unfolds. Let's drop the scene over here. We should be able to see these change as we start to move through our setup. So here we've got our command, right? And you can see that things have changed. And now the spy sneak off is on the right instead of on the left. We could sort these if we felt like it. But for now it's okay. And the idea is that we've got both of these. Both of these have their main scene. The sneak aboard contract is this security thing. So if we hit the comm dishes, that's going to resolve that. And now you can see that it says no current scene. Now the reason it says no current scene is because spy sneak off was way earlier. But the problem is that this shouldn't say sneak aboard. It's not there's no current scene, but the index should still be so if we take a look at the mission, there should be a next scene function. There it is. So basically it should work. But for some reason it's not. That's interesting. Let's give it one more shot here. Make sure that we understand what's going on. Because the idea is that it should show completed. It shouldn't show completed scenes. It should only show upcoming scenes. So here you can see. Let's go ahead and sort the missions. I can't really make heads or tail of it when they're dancing around. So we'll just grab this sort function, go down into this, and the first thing we'll do is sort them. But instead of scenes until pivotal, we'll make it name. That way it'll just be sorted by alphabetical order. There we are. So here we've got our setup. If we pop up the navigation here, grind. Oh, it looks like I must have damaged something. We'll look into that later. So this is the current scene dock to local station. That's this here. Maybe I'll do something to highlight that a little bit more. But if we then pull this, we're still in the dock to local station, but the sneaky spy hasn't triggered yet. So we'll use the engines, and the sneaky spy still hasn't triggered. Is it because I'm sorting now? Is it because once I've sorted them in the gizmos, they're not correctly sorted? No, because I resort them. This is interesting. So we're out of command, so we'll just shift change and then command. Okay, so now we're sneaking aboard. And the idea is that these two should always be lined up. So if we then do a security check, see, here's the problem. We completed the sneak aboard, it's supposed to go down to the spy on board. If we take a look at the sneaky spy in the inspector and turn on the debug, index of 0. You know what? Index of 0 might mean a completed scene. It does, doesn't it? All right. So what that means is that we actually want index +1, which is fine. It also means this will never happen. Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and do that one more time. And this is the reason I wanted to have a debug system. I'll probably come up with something that looks a lot better than this. But basically, I want to be able to tell what's going on. Tools are an absolute requirement in getting stuff working. So there, we've just gone ahead and done that, and then we can do this. And we switched over to pick up passengers, as you can see. There's some strange damage over there. Oh, I see. That's what it was. That's interesting. So we'll just scroll this around until we can see what we're doing. We need a command. There's no more commands. So we'll do a shift change, and then we'll power conduits. Current scene is sneak aboard. Now if we click this, we should have current scene none, and then spy on board. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. So the last thing we got to do is for the current scene, we got to tell you how many elements are left. So for that, all we need is to get the number of pieces remaining. So current scene dot, here's index, and then there's also length. So it's just going to be length minus index. I'm not a big fan of how that's crawling in off the side of the screen. You see how it constantly is like sliding pixel by pixel? That's super obnoxious, the pop-up help. That's a really bad update. I installed the update earlier so that I wouldn't have to complain about it. But I'm still complaining about it because the update added something dumb. Alright, so here we go. Just add in those power conduits and then add in the engines. Shift change. Hit navigation again. Yeah, okay, so that's the bug. I'll fix that sometime. Not a big deal. We got to go ahead and pick up some more command here. And then do this. And you can see how it's one of 3. What we really want to do is add 1 to that value. So it's actually going to be... Oh, no, I just... +1. Yeah, there we are. Okay, one more time. Let's get this sorted. And I know that it might seem kind of pointless to anybody watching this after the fact. Nobody's watching it now, but anybody watching it after the fact might be like, why is he spending so much time? Well, this is critical. You got to get your tools working for something like this, and this is the reason why I've been putting it off and working on hair, because it's something that really needs effort and care, although I'm doing it really half-assed. So here we've got to shift change and then do power conduits. Now we've got 2 of 3 pick up passengers, 1 of 1 sneak aboard. It's all good, and the idea is that these 2 will stay lined up the entire time, regardless of how I try and set it up. You can see how the next sneaky spy scene didn't trigger, because it won't trigger until they're even. And now that the other one is upstairs, it'll probably trigger right now. Yeah, perfect. See? So it's just adjusting which one is triggering to keep them even so that you get the culmination for both at the same time. Unfortunately for us, we do not have the capacity to get to where we're going anytime fast. So we're going to have to do it slow. And this is where you can really see that it's not triggering the spy sneaking part, because it really has no interest in doing that right now, but here we've got our command, and now it should. There we go. So here we've got an option to do our engines or to command, but we don't have enough of either. Do our engines first, and then we'll do our command, and you can see that our command is going to succeed with one and fail with the other. And then we can do our security check, which is going to succeed just because we're good like that. There we are. And the last thing is we got to go away. Aubrey stopped in to say, you. Hello. And last thing is a shift change followed by chemical tanks, and there we are. We are done. So this is working as intended, which is nice. There are some other factors that we're going to need to set up. For example, right now, characters don't actually work. They're supposed to have an effect on the challenges, but they don't. So if we were to look at that, then, for example, we might pull up this command section, and you can see that it's supposed to decrease the output of the command by 1. And if we do that, then this should be less. It should actually fit. But unfortunately for us, that's not actually going to work. And there's like big question marks. This is not a great thing to see. I was doing something. This is me actually debugging it. This is me actually trying to figure out why it wasn't working. We'll have to get back into these. I'm sure that the violent complaints of past Craig will hold some kind of value here. But if I hit this, it's not going to work. It's going to fail. Permit's not valid. See, it should have been valid. It's supposed to be it's supposed to have been reduced and therefore work. But it didn't. Instead, it didn't work, which is the opposite. All right, so that's what we got to fix now. We got to figure out how to make this pop into play. Now, I could try and do a debug view for it, but I shouldn't have to, because that's something that's player-facing, and you can already see it right here on the screen. So this would literally be the debug view. These are the values which are active. These are the values which are not active. The problem is these active values aren't actually active. They're not being applied. And I don't remember whether or not these actually work. They do. Okay, that's not too bad. Oh no, there's no more support. There it is. Happy to see it. So that stuff is still working. The chemical tanks have an ability that, with no description. I don't actually know what that ability is. Let's go ahead and just take a quick little look. So here's our chemical tanks. And they have a sustained adjustment of the command system, which softens the challenge by 1. And you can see that did work. See that? It's now less than 5, less than 4, less than 5. Beautiful, right? So that's actually working. No desk is an error. It should actually have a desk, a description. But the basic system is working. If we open up the sustained adjustment here, it's of a type sustained ability. And I believe that that will tell us what the description is supposed to be. Or maybe it's in module ability. We got an annoyingly long chain of descendants, which I normally try and avoid. But it's just underscore desk, apparently. So we can set that. Is there a start on any of these? I don't know. That's smart tangents. That's got nothing to do with anything. I don't believe anybody's got any starts. There's an on destroy, but no on start. There's an activate. Well, if there's no on start, that just means that we can put it in here. We'll try it. Void start desk equals sustained I just go ahead and say adjustment type. Only problem is I'm not actually sure how to get so I don't remember how to get this as a string. If I just type adjustment type, it'll cast it to integer. We'll try it. We'll just try toString. Apparently I can't cast toString or anything. Interesting. Adjustment target is also an enum. Okay, so that's going to barf. I'm not sure how aggressively it's going to barf. So here's the toString. The reason I couldn't get it before is because I was being an idiot. But I don't see any sign that there's another option. Let's see whether or not toString gives us the integer value or not. Soften challenge by 1. Oh, it works fine. Great. Perfect. Ooh, I just love the sounds of the street outside my house, which is full of squealing cars and helicopters and police sirens pretty much 24/7. How much fun, right? So there you can see it working, and if we actually go down to the navigation and fire this, we're going to get the permit valid rather than the permit invalid. The only strange thing about this is that it just started up the other scene here, see? Which is a little bit unusual, but it's not too bad. There shouldn't be any randomness to it, but apparently there is. It's okay as long as it always works in the end. But what we've got now is a problem where this part still doesn't work. And I don't know enough about how that's built anymore to be able to make it work. Souply likes my what the fuck debug logs. Well, those are my key to making this work, because last time, which was like 2 months ago, I put in some of this to try and figure out why values weren't firing. And I put in some things that couldn't be mistaken for permanent logs so that I would know how to get back to where I was going. So the idea here is that when we actually use a player character or a crew member ability, they are stored. So if we go down into crew members, abilities, here they are. Here's the crew ability, right? When it gets activated, it gets added to something. The question is what? So I believe that it would be underneath like a universal. I don't think it's under mission control, but we'll just take a quick little look. Module, no crew. You know what I can do? I can always just look for who's referencing crew. Well, yeah. Find all references. Here we go. So we're here in adjust.cs. It's a crew ability. That's not what we care about. Here we are. We're in this crew member. So if we go in here, there we are. It's inside of crew member. So the idea is that when a crew member goes on duty, they get added to the on-duty roster here. And then whenever we need to adjust something, we go through all of the on-duty rosters and we adjust this stuff. But it doesn't seem to be working. So that's why we're going to try and figure out what's up. We're going to just put in a whole bunch more debug logs for challenge, for module. And that's a static rather than a global, or rather than a local. And we'll just do the same thing down here for the locals. And the idea is that we should get however many crew we've got on duty. That's how many of these we should get. So that's not all crew member, it's just crew member. We can actually say crew member name. That should do it for telling us whether or not those are even firing in the first place. Let's take a look. Alright, so let's go ahead and clear this. And then, oh, see, look, we've got the S check, but of course there's no crew members active. So we can click this. And you can see that we now get an A check that's increasing at the same rate. See? Now we should see them increase at double rate. See? B. So we got one for each set. So those are getting called for the challenge. Are they getting called for the actual elements here? So that's so now they're getting called for the module. All right. So fine. If we take a look, power conduit 6, 5. Wait, one of those worked. It was B. It was Mr. B. I need to fix this so it can be scrolled, but for now, this is the guy that works. Increase system output by 1, whereas these are soften-related challenges by 1. So the system output calls work. Boom. See? But let's go ahead and reduce the number of crew. There's just too many crew members here. So if we look down at the barracks, let's just have 3. There we go. And you know what? C here, it says that it's going to be doing it for support, but it didn't seem to be doing it for support. It was doing it for mission. So here's a soften. We're going to want to actually do an adjust instead of a soften. Or vice versa. Yeah. So crew and abilities, we're going to go ahead and do... Oh, just make this one -1 instead. That's a 0. So adjust should automatically target the system of the crew member in question. If we take a look here in the adjust, what we should be seeing is if the module's system does not equal our parent's system, then it doesn't do jack shit. If we look over at the crew ability, parent here is defined as the crew member. See? So the crew member's system, which is support, should be doing the determining as to what system gets hardened or softened. So if we pop up our command module in our navigation here, this is decrease system output by 1, but you can see that it's the fucking dish. It's support. So why is it decreasing command and only command? Because, I mean, that's clearly not... Oh, you know what it is? The power conduits are a support module. That's what it is. See? That explains a lot. So that's a support module that's not currently on the support system. And that's like a gameplay detail that won't come up for quite a while. But it just means that I'm looking in the wrong place for these crew abilities. If we take a look at adjust and we look down here, module.system is not actually what we're looking for. We're looking for where it's installed. So that would be module.parent.system. There we are. That should do it. But it's not parent.system, as I recall. It's called parent.icon because I'm an idiot. But it happens. Everybody is, at some point, an idiot. Now we're also going to have to do the same thing for soften. And who knows, that might actually be the problem with soften. We'll find out here. So once again, it's not... Oh, the challenge icon is correct. Okay, so that's all good. So now, if we take a look at the navigation and we pop this up and we put B on, these support modules should go down by 1. That's better. All right, half done. The other half is that this is supposed to decrease the system output of all of these command modules, or soften the challenges. Decrease system output should work. Yeah, it's this one, soften related challenges. So softening challenges is better than changing system output, because it actually should make this go up. And if it was a less than, or if it was a greater than, it would make it go down. So that would be really useful, but it's not working. And it isn't just that the visual isn't keeping up, it's literally not working. If we take a look here, what we've got is this C check for challenge, and it's like triggering, but it's not properly adjusting it. So if we go over here into challenge adjustment, it would try and take me over to the crew ability, but what we're actually trying to do is soften here. So what we're going to do is just have a debug.log soften check. I don't think that we need these excessive logs anymore. I think we can probably remove those at this stage. I'll track them down later if I need them again. So here in module, we've got this value get, right? Just go ahead and delete that. Thank you for leaving me notes past Craig, but I don't need them anymore. I have sorted out what you could not. You fool. All right, so what we should see here is that the soften call, here it is, soften check. So for some reason, this isn't actually working. So what we're going to go ahead and do is put in some more values. So debug.log soften yes. And then we'll go ahead and do debug.log soften negative. And then otherwise it'll be soften positive. Like so. And that should tell us whether or not it's getting through this, because this might be the issue. Maybe not. We'll find out. It could also be that it's getting added wrong, which is possible, but a little unlikely. If that's the case, it's a very simple fix. Well, that will be nice. So we're just going to go ahead and hit soften related. Oh, wait. First off, he's not soft. It might actually be working. Because we are softening the wrong one. We're softening support, and we need to be softening command. There we go. Why isn't it softening anything? Well, because you don't have the right thing to soften, but now it should match. See? So it was fucking working. It was working the whole fucking time. That's all good. Sometimes you have to debug the fact that you have a different level design than you thought you did. Alright, so actually it looks like everything might be working. I've worked through the thing that I thought wasn't working, and I've added in some UI elements for things that were troubling me before. And so what that means is that we can start to try and get through this challenge. So here we can soften the related challenge by 1, and then we can hit our power conduits, and it works. See, permit's valid. And then we need engines of 3, which we've got, so we'll just pop those in. And we're going to have to do this trick. It's a trick that we'll have to fix later on. There's just an animation glitch there. It's fine. It's fine. That was me setting up the fact that we could move to a new area with a new scene. And it seems to work, but there are some bugs. So what we need here is a command of greater than 0, which we've got, and a support of less than 3. So you might be wondering, why don't we just activate all of the crew members all of the time? And I had some thoughts on why you wouldn't want to do that, but I can't remember what I decided. It might have been an exhaustion thing, like every time it happens, they get more tired. It might have been something where if we do a shift change, everybody who's active I think it was. I think it was once you've activated someone, you can't actually deactivate them on the same shift. So when you hit next shift, they automatically deactivate and they're grayed out until the shift after that. So you've got to make sure that you don't waste them. But that's for the future. For right now, we're just going to go ahead and set this up. So we'll do a shift change. And you can see we've got this socialize of less than 4 here. So we're just going to make this a 4. And it's actually a 3. See, it would have been impossible to do this without both of those crew members. But we should be able to get both of those challenges just fine. No problem. This is a pretty suspicious person. So we're working great here. Everything seems to be running just fine. Yeah, perfect. Look at all of this beautiful stuff working out here. So I'll just do a shift change and we'll continue with our aggressive socialization, and then we'll do some warping. We could really use an engineer to make our chemical tanks better. The increase system output really helps with these challenges, but that's okay. So command negotiate docking permissions, clickety clickety, clickety clunkety, and of course Coof. And call for passenger boarding. Did it reset? Oh no, we finished the sneaky spy way before we finished the passenger liner. We're gonna have to work on that. Should just be polish. Just polish. It shouldn't be critical. There we are. Everything's done. We went through the mission. Hooray! So obviously this is a terrible way to actually display stuff. We're not looking at anything in any sort of final visual form. But for the most part, the most egregious bugs are now solved. The next step is how are we going to set up these missions to be more interesting and communicate with the player in a way that is more holistic. Most importantly, we have to determine what we're going to do about the pivot scenes, the pivotal scenes, because we need them to happen at the same time, but we also need them to tie together. So, for example, if we have a sneaky spy sneaking aboard while we're dropping off passengers, the idea is that when we reach the passenger drop-off, it will always be at the exact same time. And the real problem with that is that right now we got that sneaky spy off, and you can see it's actually two. It's one long, and then there's a failure state if you fail, which is fine. But if the first element is always going to be the fulcrum scene, I think it'll work. So to test that, we can go over here. Here's our drop-off passengers, right? So we've got a command check where this is literally just a duplicate of pickup passengers. I didn't even change any of the details. But what we can do is we can make this so that it is a much more aggressive situation. Let's take a look here. Call for passenger disembark. So there we are. If we do that, then this part doesn't need to exist. We'll go ahead and delete that. And then we'll have the engine just as kind of a final statement. So for that, what we can do here is autofill with challenges. And let's see whether or not the two of them sync up properly, which we'll check on by putting the scene view over here, I think. And then making sure that we can see what the heck we're looking for here. Where are we? There we are. All right, so if we pull up our command, we're going to want to turn on, I've screwed up the visuals. Let's just reboot. I need to fix the cameras too, lots of bugs to fix, but that's just the nature of the game. So let's go ahead and just turn these folks all on. I can't turn off the command tab right now, which is not great, but we'll get to it. Here we are. So we're going to be in the navigation. We're going to do command here. And then we're going to do engines. And so you can see now we've got no current scene still. So the spy hasn't even snuck aboard yet. That is interesting. I might need to be able to have multiple. So when I created this idea, I did it real fast and loose. But I think I'm going to have to use some of my innovations that I've come up with from the Heaven's Vault playthrough, because these need to have contextual ties. Right now, the spy is going to board. Why are we... Oh, we're still picking up passengers? Oh, we haven't actually left yet. We just docked with the station. That's fine. I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and try this. We're going to want to do a shift change. All right, so now we're doing them both at the same time, but we may have to be more aggressive about that. We'll find out. So now we are going to, there we are. I think we flubbed that actually. So that's fine. So we'll do a shift change and then we'll socialize. And then we'll do a chemical tank. Chemical tank. I need better engines. All right, so right now we have dock to station and no current scene. So the idea is that we still have a spy on board scene. That's kind of interesting. There we are. That's resolving okay. All right, so now what we've got is no current scene, even though we're dropping off the passengers. So the problem is that we started up only one scene. What we actually need to do is start up both. So that's not too bad of a fix. We'll just go over to the mission control. First things first, let's change our engine. That chemical tank needs to be like a 5. Just because it's annoying. And then what we'll do is we'll go over to mission control, open it up. And when we do this thing where we check and see here, what we're going to want to do is we're actually going to want to take all of the ones that have that number left. So for each mission M in active missions, if m dot scenes until pivotal equals num scenes. Oh, I didn't want to delete the other thing. Erase that. There we are. So if there is no current scene, and the number of scenes equals m dot scenes until pivotal. There we are. So basically we're just going to make sure that we activate multiple scenes at once, if needed. That'll keep us from having that problem where randomly one of the things happens first. We want them to happen at the same time. So let's take a look. Let's try it out. Let's get all our crew on duty for now. And then we'll just start up our little journey here. Let's pull up our scene view. Where is our crew member? Yeah. Oh, wow, I just clicked somewhere very far off where I thought I was clicking. All right, so you can see that we now have both of those scenes active, which is better than before, where we would only have one of them active. But the problem is that sneak aboard being active while we're trying to dock with the station is a little bit wrong. So I think I am going to have to use context pins. Context pins are simply things where, a context has a prerequisite. It requires you to be in a place or something. And the idea is that we can substitute in any place specified by any mission, but it still has to be there. So I wouldn't be able to have this crew member sneak aboard unless he's actually able to. He can't sneak aboard in deep space. I mean, I might make a mission where that's possible, but I'd be careful to script it in as something that specifically doesn't require any such thing, Oh, okay, so we're up to command, call for boarding, and you can see how we already boarded the spy. So that's not quite how I want it, but we'll just go ahead and finish this up and make sure that they fail at the same time. Fall at the same time. So we got a command, negotiate docking permissions. There we are. Except, yeah, that's fine. That's good. It's good. It's good. Now, when I do this, they should both become active. Perfect. So it says no current scene, so that's not perfect. Something happened. They decided that they weren't going to activate both of them. That's interesting and annoying. I think this will largely be down to pins. I'm going to have to create a pinning system. I'm going to have to think about how to do that. So I think this is going to be it for today. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. I'm going to try not to miss Wednesday this time. My teeth don't need cleaning that often, so, hopefully it'll be a while before I miss another Wednesday. And, see you Saturday if you don't like weekdays. We're going to get back into the swing of things here. I'm going to try for some longer setups, but I can do art streams for a really long time. But for programming, I'm like, I have to stop and think. Because if I get this structural thing wrong, it's going to end up not working. So we'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by, Aubrey and Mr. Supley, and hopefully you'll find someone else to watch programming.